Just a sec. Well, good evening, everybody. This is Kathy L. Murphy, the Pulpwood Queen, and I'm reporting live from my little cabin in the woods here in East Texas, Murphy's Law. And tonight we have with us one of my favorite authors who just stole the show at our recent 2023 Girlfriend Weekend, Ann Hood. And she has a brand new book called Fly Girl. It's a memoir of her days when travel was glamorous and just it's what you dressed to fly. She was with TWA. And so I'd like to introduce you now to Ann Hood. Ann, good evening.
Yay. Kathy, thank you for everything you do. You know how much I love you.
I love you too.
You're amazing.
And they're still talking about your speech, your keynote at Girlfriend Weekend. And it was incredible. I mean, it was just really incredible. We had a great time there.
That was so much fun. I had so much fun.
Well, it was the first year we went back live, and then I thought we were going to go back live this year, and lo and behold, nobody was signing up. They said they're still afraid of COVID, and I moved it back to Texas, and so we're doing it Zoom. So you can jump on.
You're
yes.
kidding.
No, I couldn't believe it myself. I said, well, when I announced that, I said, I'll tell you what, if you all sign up before May 1st, we'll do it live. If you don't, we're going to do it Zoom. And all my authors started emailing me and they said, we're coming, but if you do it Zoom, because it's too hard for us to come, especially from overseas and all this stuff, because I'm an international author. So I'm doing it Zoom, and it's going to, I don't know if you guys know Deborah Rodriguez, but Deborah wrote The Cabell Beauty School. And she was our former book of the month. I picked all her books, but she's got a new book coming out. She's opened a beauty school in Pakistan.
Oh,
and
fabulous.
She works with Beauty Beyond Borders. And so I think she's coming. And then Marilyn Rothstein's going to be here. And Jay Lawrence Matthews is going to be my co-host. And I've got a bunch already signed up. But everybody who signs up is going to be featured. So we want all the authors to sign up, and it'll be fun. It'll be January 12th through the 14th. And, I'm going to be taping everything. So I hope you both can come. And, you're up for, your book is our June book of the month. So you'll be up for.
Well, thank you so much.
Well, you'll be up for voting for book of the year. We vote, we start in October. And the votes have to be in by December 1st. And then I announce to the winners, but we announce it at our awards show like we did last year. So anyway, tell us this story. For those that didn't get to hear you at Girlfriend Weekend or at various other times that you've spoke at our festival and things, tell us about your background, Ann, and how in the world, I always wanted to be a flight attendant. How did this happen?
How did this happen is a great question. So, I grew up in a tiny town in the smallest state, Rhode Island, a really depressed mill town, huge Italian family. I used to feel so suffocated. Of course, as we know, when we get older, I would give anything for one more Sunday dinner with all those people. You realize it too late, but they'd all be talking and eating and cooking. And of course I would be eating too, and I would look out the window and just be like, get me out of here. The small town curse, right?
Right.
I want to go somewhere. And it was a very vague dream of it was sort of made by movies I'd seen and things I'd read and Marjorie Morningstar and Doris Day movies, this combination of stuff. And Boeing, with Tony Curtis. I was just like, get me out of here. So I did always, when time I was so little, want to be a writer. But what would I have to write about? I mean, I live in this small town. Now I know, of course, you have so many things to write about because you look inside. But, when you don't know that, you're looking outside. And one day, very fortuitous, in my town library, I'm 12 years old. I pluck a book from the shelf, and it's called How to Become an Airline Stewardess.
Oh, my gosh.
And the first line is, would you like a boyfriend in every city in the world? And my fate was sealed, Kathy. Of course it was. And I remember we had to tell our guidance counselor what we wanted to be. And I was like, well, I want to be a writer. He's like, no, people don't do that. Well, I want to be an airline stewardess. He said, smart girls don't do that. But I remember thinking, and I wasn't a rebellious kid. I was really like that kid who followed the rules. So it was very kind of revolutionary for me to have this thought, this guy's wrong.
I knew it at the time too. Yeah.
Right? I can be a writer. And if I want to be an airline stewardess, God darn it, I'm going to be an airline stewardess. Went to college, state school, majored in English, came home for Christmas break. And my parents are like, so what do English majors do for jobs? Because they don't move home, do they? I mean, like, what are you going to do? And I said, I want to be, by that time we were flight attendants. 1978, you were a flight attendant. I never got to be a stewardess, right? Deb? We missed that by just a few years.
Just a few.
Right. And I said, I want to be a flight attendant. My mother was a little bit like aghast, not negative, but sort of like, but sweetie, I don't know. My father looked at me and said, if you take that job, do I get free tickets? I said, yes. And he's like, get in the car. And he drove me to Logan Airport, like an hour from where we lived. And he took me to every terminal. And I came home with like a stack. That's how many airlines there were, a stack of applications. And he sat me down at the kitchen table and taught me how to, fill out an application, putting NA if something didn't apply. I mean, what did I ever apply for? I've been in college, nothing. And I said to him, what you need to know is I only want to fly for TWA or Pan Am.
Mhm.
Because let's face it, I didn't say this to him and I didn't articulate it at the time, but you live in this little town, you want to see the world. You don't want to be based in Cleveland and flying to Pittsburgh. You want to see Paris. You want to go to Rome, And he said, that's too short-sighted. And he said, Eastern flies to the Caribbean and South America. And he said, United is getting a China route and they're going to be the biggest international airline. I mean, he was so right. But at the time I was like, United is the one who's saying I'm going to be based in Cleveland. So I did apply to those 4 airlines, got hired by TWA and United, and chose TWA because when they sent me their schedule, their routes, it was like as fat as the phone book.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I'm going to see the world. And I did, and that was it. That was my dream came true. Sitting on that airplane. I know this is so corny, but I have to say it, to Kansas City for training. I felt like all the cells in my body kind of fell into place. I was like, I'm going exactly where I should be going and doing exactly what I should be doing.
Mhm. And look where you've come. And you've written how many books now?
A lot.
A lot. I was
Yeah.
looking at them today and I was just like, you've written a lot of books. But when I saw this one coming up, I was just like so excited because that was something I wanted to do out of high school. And like I put in my book, my counselor said, you can't. If you
Yeah.
want to go into the military, you can become a flight attendant. I go, no. And he said, that's the only way
Yeah.
you can become. And I go, that's not true. I argued with him. I
Yeah.
said, my dad's best friend, his girlfriend works for Pan Am.
Yeah.
And he said, well, she was in the military. No, she trained in Kansas City.
Mm-hmm.
I think Kansas City, or maybe it was Colorado. I don't know. But anyway, and I knew the whole story. And he said, well, your parents have already signed the paperwork. You're going to Kansas State University and you're going to be an elementary school teacher, which is no. So, but I went for 2 years and then I stopped to find a way to make a living and became a hairdresser because I wanted to get through college.
Yep.
And I thought I need a good job. And 43 years later, I finally graduated with an art degree, which is what I wanted.
What you wanted.
That's
But
what I
Kathy,
wanted to be.
Kathy, what's so interesting, and it speaks to women of our age and what we were being told back then.
Right.
When that day I had to talk to my guidance counselor and I'm saying, I want to be a writer. I want to be a steward. I had these big ideas. He said, no, Anne, what girls do is they become teachers or secretaries.
Nurses too.
Or nurses, or they just get married.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, really? In this, it's 1969, I'm like 12 years old, but I was like, really, that's all? I don't believe that's all there is for me. I just didn't accept it, fought against it for years. But that's what we were told. That's how we grew up.
Well, and we didn't really realize that we did have options. So after the first year of college, I switched my major. And that's why my mother told me she wasn't going to pay for my next year. Because if I wasn't going to become a teacher, I was going to have to do it myself. So I've been to 7 universities, but I finally graduated. I have like 200 and some hours, but
Yeah.
I got the art degree in the art history, and I think I'm going back this fall for my master's in women's studies, because I
Good for
realize
you.
now that we got to start changing some rules around here. And if we don't start stepping up and speaking out,
Yep.
we're having our rights taken away left and right. Right, girls?
Boy, are we.
And Deborah's with us here today. She's signing in from New Jersey, and she's a flight attendant. And so she'll be joining the conversation. So say hi, Deb.
Hey, everybody. I'm glad to be here. And I'm just so excited. I love talking flying, and I love both those things. I love to talk and fly. And I love both of these women. I can't wait to hear what they have to say. So I'm grateful to be
So
here.
glad you're here, Deb. I'm so happy to meet you.
So I feel
I
the same.
think you're going to be big friends. You're so close to each other.
I know.
In New Jersey, and hopefully eventually I'll get back up that way. But so now you've written this book. What has happened since this book has come out? It's your story about, doing this back in the day when women dressed to go to the airport and to fly. Now you're lucky if you get on there with a guy with flip-flops and a wife beater and downing mixed drinks. I always get next to the guy who's just gets one drink right after the other, and you just think, or the crying baby. But I don't mind the baby as much as I do the guys with the sleeves. I mean, wear a sleeved shirt.
Oh, I know. I had to, I was in the middle seat, and I don't remember the person on this side, because the guy on this side had those big beefy arms and the wife beater shirt, and his arm was kind of against mine. I was so grossed out.
Sweaty. It's gross and
horrible. But I don't know if you remember this, Deb, or if this happened on Eastern, but I remember in Phoenix, we denied a passenger boarding because he had on flip-flops.
Oh, you couldn't do that today.
Yeah. I don't remember it back in the 70s and the 80s, the dress code. I know what it was for us. I don't remember what it was for passengers, but I know TWA, especially, they were very strict. So I'm not surprised at all.
So strict.
But you know what? That used to also be a safety issue. They didn't want passengers to wear any kind of flip-flops or slide-ons, because if they had to jump the slide, their shoes came off.
That's right. Or they had to run off the plane. Okay, I have a question for you, Deb. I know we're getting a little sidetracked, but
no, it's okay.
I was on a flight, and our seats, it was a narrow body plane. I don't remember what kind. And my seat, I was by the window, had no window. And I said to the flight attendant, I don't feel comfortable sitting here. If something happened, I wouldn't be able to see what was out the window. I don't think I could evacuate safely. She looked at me like I had just spoken to her in another language. She's like, what?
I've never heard of a seat with no window.
No window. Yeah. They jammed them in. And so we were taught, you look out the window, fire, or I don't remember what the thing was, and so I wrote to the FAA, because I'm like that person. And I was like, this airline had no window. And they were like, this is now acceptable. I don't think that's safe.
I think when I know what you're talking about, and that could have been like an A300 or A319. There's a couple of seats that when you're on the side where there's supposed to be a window, but right here, right next to you is like a white wall, and you can see a little bit. Yeah. And so, and yeah, that's acceptable now, because they leave all of that up to the flight attendants to assess the outside conditions. They don't really. Yeah. The only person that really would need to be able to look out there is anybody who maybe had a window exit responsibility, which there aren't even that many of those anymore.
Right.
So, so yeah, I understand how you feel. I've had those seats where there's no window, and it feels
I was so
weird,
claustrophobic, but I was also just going through training again. I always do that. Just sort of I have been taught that you look out the window so you know if it's safe to go out that exit.
That's right. And you never forget. That's one thing that you're proof of that. You never ever forget that training ever.
Right.
You just drill. So
that's it.
It's pretty exciting. And so I don't want to give any spoilers away for the book, but you stop being an airline stewardess not by choice. So, and and now with all the rider strikes and everything that's going on, I've never worked for anybody where I've always worked for myself. So I've never worked for anybody where I've got caught in that. But COVID kind of shut me down because every salon shut down, everything. So
Yeah.
I no longer have a job of doing hair. So it's been, a struggle. So you never know, Deb. I might apply to be a flight attendant. You never
Come on,
you
your
know,
time is now.
yeah, I mean, I know the majors are hiring, all of them are hiring. American was hiring, I think almost 2,000 or 3,000 flight attendants. United, Delta's hiring, a lot of local regionals are hiring, like Frontier, although I wouldn't go to work for them, but
I know JetBlue is hiring too.
JetBlue, and they're expanding a lot, and they're expanding internationally as well. And the thing is, each airline offers something different. The one thing Delta does not have a labor union, so I wouldn't recommend. I know they love it there. I just couldn't imagine being a flight attendant without a labor union. So, but yeah, I mean, you could try. I did it. So if I did it, you could do it. And what a story that would be. 3 women our age going through the new hire training and being out there on the line. That is a huge story.
It's a great story. But Deb, you're saying about Delta, and that kind of feeds into what Kathy was saying. In the 80s, when the airlines were suffering because of so many things like the oil crisis.
Deregulation in 78 killed the industry.
Oh, killed it. I mean, that's part of my book. I talk about that without, in the way that I hope isn't, you have to talk about it if you're talking about working for an airline. It affected everything. It ruined everything. So we were like a sinking ship, bad metaphor. And Frank Lorenzo, who had bought Continental, wanted to buy TWA. He broke the union, but he did save the airline, at least for a while. And so TWA was kind of like the employees were like, let him take it over. We know it's going to be a struggle, but it was worse what the administration chose, which was Carl Icahn, who didn't care about the airline and bought it only to sell it in parts. And he was horrible.
It was awful.
He was so bad. I mean, I can't even say some of the things he said because they were so demeaning, and he used language that was demeaning, which was why ultimately we won that labor strike in the Supreme Court. But initially we lost it. He had secretly been training 2,000 women at a hotel in JFK. So when we went on strike, we never shut the airline down. We walked through the airport spitting on us. We were picketing, and these young women were spitting on us.
Oh my God.
He would only hire people under 21, and he paid them, half of what we were getting paid. And he broke the union. He was successful in breaking the union. And that's why I stopped. My beautiful job ended because of that. We ultimately won. I think it was like maybe 4 or 5 years after that. But by then I had published 2 or 3 books, and I couldn't. That letter came, like, you come back, get retrained in St. Louis on this date. And I was like, I'm doing it. But how can I do both now? I could do both before I got published.
Right.
I was writing and I was sending stories out. But when it came, I had a kind of a successful first novel. And I was teaching, and I was doing so many different things. I just couldn't reconcile the 2 jobs.
No, and I mean, and until the internet hit hard, like in, the early 2000s and stuff like that, you couldn't do on the road what you can do now. So when you had to make that choice, it wasn't like you were going to be able to, you didn't have the same options then that you would have had now. So you had to make the choice. And honestly, that experience from your standpoint was, you were gutted. I mean, you were gutted as flight attendants, you were gutted as a labor force, and so demeaned in so many ways. So to think about it took a lot of the sparkle off of it for you. So you had already found another. I can totally understand why you made that decision.
And Deb, during the strike, I mean, we were on Phil Donahue, and there was a big front page of everything. And I relived this in writing Fly Girl because I wanted to remember. I mean, I had these ideas, but I wanted to make sure I was right. And it's so funny. My cousin is head of a union for part-time faculty at a college, and they're negotiating. And she keeps telling me stuff like, well, you don't know what this means. And I said, I was in one of the most famous strikes in the country. Like that TWA strike in 1986, still people talk about it.
Yep.
because of how he handled it, what happened to us, how we ultimately won. But she just doesn't get, she said, God, I love her, but she said, but that was for stewardesses. I said, that was our job. And
Yeah.
we were stewardesses. I mean, this was our job. I was on that picket line every day.
Yep.
You know?
Yep. And you set the pace for a successful strike for American in 93.
Yes,
And then
exactly.
I was the New York representative, and I actually served with a TWA.
You
He was the
did.
president, Willie Aviles, and he was a former TWA.
I remember him. That's so funny.
He was
He
amazing.
was big in our strike. He was
Yeah, and
actually
he knew labor, he knew
Knew
labor
what he was
organization, and
Yeah.
I learned a lot from him.
Yeah.
So, but this is, and people do not think of what we do because we're safety professionals as a labor force. They don't think of us
That's right.
that way.
Yeah.
And so that's why she has that attitude towards you. Oh, well, that was for stewardesses. Most people, I hope your book shows, and I can't wait to tell all my TWA colleagues that about your
Yeah.
book. But
Get them to buy this book because it is so good.
oh, I'm
It's so
totally
good.
going to. Absolutely 100%. And I'm going to get it. And Ann, I'm going to come and have you sign mine so I can carry it around and tell everybody.
We're gonna have a little cocktail. You know, I did a reading the other night at a library. It was so great. The person interviewing me, she had just been to the TWA hotel, you know, at Kennedy.
Oh
Airport.
my God. Have you
I
been
wanna
there?
go there.
Oh yeah, we went. I did an article for Travel and Leisure about it when it opened. But she said, I'm going to introduce Ann Hood in 1 minute, but I'll be right back. And she disappeared. And she came back at the TWA hotel. She had bought cocktail glasses and a silver tray, and she served me. And this was like a journalist, you know. And she's like, "Here we go." And it just made me so happy. Like she was said that.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it was great.
Fantastic. I've watched them build that hotel, and then I've been in it once or twice, but I haven't ever stayed there. They do give us a special rate. So that is one of the things I'm going to do one of these days because
You
it's a
have to
cool
do it.
place.
Oh my gosh, like you see the planes taking off and landing, but the rooms are decked out with all the like the old first class crystal and stuff. I mean,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
really, it's wonderful.
I do remember all that. We had all that too on Eastern. You
Yeah,
know, I
that's
remember when we went
appreciative.
from China, crystal, you know, silverware to what we have. Well, now we have paper, plastic, bamboo, but
Yeah.
you know, it's
Yep.
like,
I know, crap. I'm sorry, but
it's
yeah.
okay. But yeah, I love thinking about those days, and they are gone, and they will not return. We don't even have first class anymore. Everything's business first now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because that's the way they make more money, more seats. They charge an exorbitant, they charge a lot of money for those seats. And you know how the percentages are. They make more money than even the main cabin. But the industry itself has changed. I've been through so many different things. It was first deregulation, then it was the air traffic controller strike.
Oh, yeah.
And then I come back I left in Eastern in 83. And then I came back to my flight attendant career in 98 with American. And then right after that is 9/11. It was like, oh my, every big thing that ever happened in the industry, I was there for it. And it was,
That's right.
it changes everything.
Yep.
And then the pandemic, I was out for that. That was when I was on medical leave, but it just changed everything. And it's going to constantly change. I mean, I knew after 9/11, we'd be ended up with the big five, and that's exactly what happened.
That's right. That's right.
But I can't wait to read your book. I haven't read it. I mean, I'm fascinated. I'm so happy to meet you first because now I can put a face to the story, but I can't wait to read it.
When I talk about Fly Girl, and I think I said this, Kathy, at the weekend, you know, I applied to United, Pan Am, TWA, Eastern, and one other, and the only one that's still flying is United.
Right. And that's because
deregulation killed them. I mean, killed all those airlines, but yeah.
It was so sad. Continental went. I remember when Pan Am and the National, you know, the National Sun and the Pan Am Globe went together like this. And, you know, I mean, American has a timeline in their C.R. Smith Museum in Dallas, and it is incredible what was absorbed into that airline. I should really take a picture of that. You're talking Piedmont, AirCal, and they it's like this thing that just keep eating each other.
Yes,
it's like Pac-Man.
Yeah, right.
And TWA's in there.
Yeah.
But I'm still there, and I don't actually know how long I'm going to fly. And there are people there older than me. You know, you've heard of the oldest flight attendant right now.
Oh yeah,
works
that's
for
American. I know. But Deb, how are those international flights? How do you do on those? Like, that's the one thing where I'm like, I loved it when I did it, but like, I don't know if I could stay awake.
Well, I will, let me just say about that. First of all, I was, Kathy, are you there? Okay, I see you're there. I was domestic with American, and I was with Eastern, you just flew everything, but with American, I was domestic. And then when I went on medical, I didn't even start doing international till right now.
Oh, wow.
Till now. And so what I find is, and it's completely opposite. I used to do morning flights. Now I do the night flights, because they all leave after 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah, oh, yeah, yeah.
And so I find that right now, because it's new to me and I'm still getting my body regulated into the whole fly life again, because they have crew breaks now. I don't know if you had that back
Yeah,
in
we
TW.
had that. Yeah, we did.
And but now we have bunks. You don't have to sit in the seats. I understand
But
back
we
then
had
there were
bunks on
seats.
TWA. We
Oh,
had
you did
that.
have bunks?
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
so I find that knowing that I get an off break for, I'm offline with the passengers for at least an hour helps me to get through. I do not do Tel Aviv, Dubai. I'm not those kind of, 12, 17-hour flights. That's not for me.
Yeah.
I'll do Europe. And for right now, that's good enough for me. Like I'm not doing deep South, like, Sao Paulo and Rio and stuff like that.
Right.
So right now I'm managing, I'm managing. I mean, I'm also super careful on my days off to not overschedule myself.
Yeah.
And I'm still figuring a lot of things out, but I am having fun. And as soon as it stops being fun, I'll stop doing it.
Right. Exactly. Kathy, I have to show you something.
Oh, good. I lost you for a minute. I lost internet. I don't know why.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah, but it's still recording. So
Kathy, look at my other cat. It looks just like your cat.
here's my cat.
Oh, look.
And I've got another one, 2 more right behind me.
I saw you petting that cat. It looks just like Gertie.
I don't see them all day long. And then the minute I start talking to somebody on a Zoom, here they come. Right,
Oh, yeah,
Rush?
mine too. But that was like, that looks like Gertrude. So Hermie is the ham who's been in the picture, but Gertie looked just like her.
Yeah.
They like their camera time.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I never talk at home. I'm such a talker, but when I'm at home, I'm working on my art. I'm working on different things. I'm writing, and I don't talk. So when they hear me talking, here they come.
Oh,
Who's
that's
she
it.
talking to? So yeah, I think most authors and book club people have a dog or a cat. They're all
Totally.
bored, and it's what makes us kinder humans, having a pet and everything. Debbie, I'm sure it's hard for you to have a pet now that you're traveling so much.
Yeah, I actually, I had one dog my whole life, and in the first month of the pandemic, we had to send her to doggy heaven.
Oh.
And I was absolutely heartbroken. And so I don't have another one right now, but I'm in the process. I bought a house in Syracuse, and I'm in the process of putting up a fence, finishing my pool, and then when I retire from flying, that may be what I do, is I may get another little puppy. I don't know. I can't.
And maybe you should write a story, because I know you've got stories too.
Well, I am actually. I'm working with somebody right now, and I actually am writing. I am writing. So I'm excited. Yeah, because honestly, Anne, it's like flight attendants have stories nobody else has. And we don't think much of it because we all have them, but they are.
Exactly. You don't realize how different it is, how unique what you're going through is. No one gets it. Yeah.
Because it's like, I've never met you, you've never met me, but that commonality, it's such a tribe, which I love, that you can sit down with somebody and talk for hours about mutual experiences, shared experiences. The perspective of the aviation life is something only people have it. From everything you said about, and even you, Kathy, everything you said about, I always wanted to, but they told me, and all that is all me, totally me. Like it's this. So the overlap of that is so exciting. I remember driving up to JFK when I was like, all of about 18 years old, and trying to find somebody to give me an application. So the fact that your father found them, and I went into the TWA building, and I went out, and you just go up and you start asking for applications, because back then that's the only way to do it. You had to get an application and fill it out.
Yeah. Right.
So, and the reason I got hired with Eastern is because when I was living in Jamaica, I read a Time magazine article. I think it was, they were the first U.S. company to buy Airbus from France, the A300.
Yeah.
And I knew that. And so when I moved to Fort Lauderdale, I drove to Miami headquarters and got an application, and then they called me in for an interview, and that's how I got hired. Yeah. And so, but these stories they're fascinating. And back in the 70s, back in the 70s and I would say 60s and 70s, being a flight attendant was like being a model or being an actress. It was because you were a stewardess. It was that same thing. Did you guys watch that show that was only one season, the Pan Am show?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now that
Yeah.
was real deal back then. Like by the 70s, we were done with that. There was no girdle snapping. There was no weighing. There was
Yeah,
none of
right.
that.
That was done.
But that was the real deal back then. And
Yeah.
they really did live like that. Those women were, and some of them, like, I think Betty, but they were the pioneers. Like you said, Anne, that job was not something that you couldn't do if you didn't have courage. You couldn't do it.
No, I talk about in the book, the first flight attendant called an air hostess at the time, Ellen Church, who had her pilot's license.
Yes. I mean, I know. Yes.
Right. And the airline was like, no, you could never fly a plane. But she was so smart. She knew that aviation was the future.
Yes.
And she just knew, I want to be in this business. A registered nurse. She convinced them to have registered nurses on board. She got her 7 best friends. The 8 of them were the first flight attendants. That airline later became United, but it was called like Western, whatever at the time. When they had layovers after like 17 hours to just get across the country, not even all the way across, like from the Midwest to the West Coast, the pilots went to hotels and the stewardesses slept on the plane.
Can you believe that?
One of the first rights they won, other than the right to be on the plane at all, was to get a hotel room.
Which they had to share.
4 people, then it was down to 2. We were lucky because I had my own.
Me too.
Yeah. But yeah, they had to sleep on the airplane, no heat. And the pilots.
I never knew that. I never knew that.
That's just crazy, isn't it?
Also,
it's-
Ellen Church invented the jump seat.
Ellen Church, she did?
Yeah, she invented the jump seat, and she also invented putting something across the door because she realized the bathroom door and the door out of the plane looks exactly alike. And she's like, we have to put something on this plane, this door, so people don't open it. Although someone just did, I saw it recently.
Yeah.
And the jump seat so that they were near the exit. She was just ahead of her time. She was amazing.
She was. I know her name, but I didn't know all those details about her. That's fascinating. I can't wait to read your book. I already ordered it, but I don't have it yet.
Okay, it's coming.
It's coming.
It's coming. Now, do they have it in all the airports? Surely they would.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay. So you know what I'm going to do now that you said that, Kathy? And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to start taking pictures of your book in the airport.
And post it on social media.
I will.
Tag me. Yeah.
I
sure.
will. I will.
I
And
love
then I'll come to New York or you come to Jersey. I'll take a picture with you together and we'll make a whole big thing about it. It'll be so fun.
Absolutely. Where are you in Jersey, Deb?
I'm in Long Branch in Pier Village, which if you get on the train, you just get off at Long Branch and you're 5 minutes away from me.
Yep. Okay.
It's really cool. I went up there to deliver a painting and she goes, "You're coming up here. I live here. And can I meet you?" And so she met me at this author's house and she videoed me unveiling this huge painting.
Yep. Kathy, I have to say, you're one of the stories that I tell a lot. I just did a workshop with Mike. I can't remember his last name. He's an author. And he talks about titles and book covers. And honestly, every time I hear that, when you talk about marketing, I think of you because I think of Kathy, because I will never, ever forget. And I still have it, the original pink cover of your book.
Yes.
The Pulpwood Queen with you and I was walking down Barnes and Noble and there it was just laying on the table. And I had to have it. I just had to have it. And then I devoured that book. I devoured it. I wrote notes in the margins and everything like that. I brought it. You signed it for me, Kathy. And then I started following you and it was like, I'm voracious for your enthusiasm, for the way that you approach life, for watching you share openly, like what you have done over the past 10 years. It's just been incredible. And to see you pull together literary people, literary women, literary men, it's just like, you're a great inspiration to me. And so it's my joy to have this conversation now with both of you. I'm so excited.
I just know you guys are going to be the best of friends. It's going to be so cool.
I really appreciate it.
And where she lives is beautiful. I didn't know what to expect from New Jersey. And I'm telling you, this author's home, Oh my God. Her husband was an artist. He's since passed. Did you know that?
Yes, I did. You told me when when I was on the last book club
And
meeting.
I
And
talked to her. She's doing great. She's down in Florida now where her son is, but she had the most beautiful home. And I cried because we've been driving for 13 hours
yes,
to get there. And I was so tired. But when I walked in and saw all the art on the walls, I thought, what am I doing here? And she took every piece of art down in her dining room and just put my painting up in it,
Wow.
oh,
just mine. And I was like, I've arrived, but COVID's kind of hurt me, you guys. I'm working as hard as I can. But back to Anne. So Anne, where all are you going? You're going to libraries, bookstores. Where are you doing a tour or anything with the book?
Yeah, I'm all over the place. This week has been really busy already. And so my husband is a writer too. And he
Yes.
also had a book just come out. So we've been
Well,
doing a
he
joint
needs to
thing.
get me a copy of his book.
I'll have him send you one. Yeah.
It's
So he writes
amazing
it.
how many authors are couples, like
I
Laura
know that is
Bernhardt.
funny.
Yeah.
Yep. So we've done a couple things together, which has been fun. And I'm kind of going around for the next couple of weeks. I was just in London for the UK publication of Fly Girl. So it's an exciting couple of weeks.
Did you go to the London Book Fair?
I did, and I was there after that. We just got back like a few days ago.
Okay. And you're doing a writer's workshop, right?
I'm doing a writer's workshop in Ireland.
oh,
This is
Oh,
one that where I've been teaching for 10 years. And the wonderful couple who runs it had some unexpected medical emergencies and they were going to shut it down, but people had bought their tickets to Ireland. They had paid for their rooms. And my husband and I looked at each other, like, we have to help these writers that want to come and study. So I took it over for this year. It's in Dingle, Ireland, which is one of the most beautiful places in the world, as we all know.
wow.
And 10 days. And yeah, so I'm kind of excited. It was, more stuff to do than I thought I'd be doing this summer, but it's a great group of people. It's gonna be fabulous. Yep.
oh, you are you're living a wonderful life, a life that I think we all dream about. Really, both of you girls are. So, where are you going to go from here? What's next on the agenda after you've, finished touring for Fly Girl? Have you got another book in mind?
Kathy, I have a new book coming out next summer. I cannot wait for you to read it. You are gonna
Oh,
love it. It's a novel. It's called The Stolen Child.
oh, wait a minute. Maybe you did tell me a little bit about this.
I think we talked a little
Yeah.
bit about it in Amelia Island.
Yeah.
But it is about someone in World War I, a soldier, an American soldier, who is forced to make a decision, and he regrets the decision his whole life. And he's at the end of his life, and he wants to go back to France and find out what the consequences were. And he hires this plucky, the 1970s, this plucky young woman whose life has gone off course. And she just has moxie and she's like, we're going to find out. We're going to do it, Mr. Burns. And they go off and it's kind of like a buddy story. This 80-year-old man and this 20-year-old young woman, she at the beginning of her life and wanting big things, and he at the end of his, and they solve the mystery.
Oh my gosh. When's the manuscript going to be ready to read?
It'll be ready soon because it's going into copy editing now.
Okay,
So
well,
I'll make sure you get it early.
Because
Yeah,
I'm picking my books for 2024. You need to
Oh.
get it to me.
I'll get it to you as soon as I can. I just know, I feel it's a sweeping saga. It covers many countries, but it's really a mystery.
Oh,
What
yay.
it's doing. Yeah. I'm so excited about it.
Oh, Kathy, I can't wait till I finally have something to send you. It won't be 2024, but I will have a manuscript one of these days to send
Yeah,
you.
maybe you need to come to Ireland.
Yeah, you
Study.
should. If you're not working, you should. I'll tell you, I've reached a place now where I could go anywhere I wanted to. But the problem is I got hit by 4 storms this year.
I know you did.
Bad
know.
tornadoes, trees falling, limb through the roof, and now I'm playing catch up. And
Yep,
of course,
I
they
hear you.
never give you an insurance what it takes to make all the repairs. So that kind of set me back. And I'm really planning on going to India because I've got invited to go over and stay with one of my authors' mother's home in Jaipur, and I am going.
You have to
But
do that. My God.
and then my best friend just took her tour to Italy. She's in Lake Como right now, and I'm missing out. And I've got another friend that says, come to Maui. I just moved there. And I'm going, oh, I want to go, but circumstances are, unless the book club really picks up or something and people sign up for Girlfriend Weekend, I'm going to be working for a while from home. So anyway, I'm excited about this new book. And I'm doing cover art now. I've got 2 books done. I did
Wow.
Darlings of Sundance, and I'm doing another new book by Antonina Duradova that I've sent off to her, and it's in the works. It'll be a 2024 pick, and it's got her on the cover. It's really cool. So,
Oh, that's wonderful.
I really am enjoying it. And who better than somebody like me? Because I've read the book,
That's
most
right.
of these cover art people, and I really work with the author on getting it exactly right. Because to me, your cover is what sells your book.
Yeah.
This is a great cover because
I think so too. I love it.
passport, it's got the plane,
A lipstick.
my daughter, oldest daughter, when she got engaged after they graduated from college and he got his master's, they had their engagement pictures at the Tyler Pound Airport in front of this jet. And they're the best. They look real retro. They look like they're from the 1940s. She actually, the photographer, won for best photographs of engagement photos. And but they travel a lot. And but Lainey's got all of her book work done for Pilot, and part of her hours, but not all of them. She got pregnant the first time she went up in Dallas for a lesson, and got sick. And so now her son's 4, so she says, well, and when he starts school, I'll go back. She really wants to be a pilot.
Good for her.
Good for her.
This is the
She
time.
will.
I mean, the field is wide open for pilots right now. My nephew's a flight instructor, and he's halfway towards his hours, but he really has Air Force aspirations. But I took a flying lesson with him. So I actually, before I went back on the line, I actually did take off and land a little Piper. It was pretty cool.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
wow.
I went up with Lainey and her instructor one time. I've never been so scared in my life because
Oh, really?
2,000 or 3,000 feet above the ground, and we just went to Jacksonville, Texas, landed, turned around, and flew back and forth a couple of times, and it was so loud. And
It's
it was
loud.
it's
loud.
And I had this on, and I just shook in the. There's 2 seats in the front and 2 in the
Yep.
back, and I was
Yep.
back just shaking. But I did it, and I'm glad I did it. But I'm not afraid of flying. I just hate the discomfort of sitting in those little cram seats.
Yeah, that one sitting in the back. I was in the front. We were flying over the Hudson River, so that was just the coolest thing ever. It was awesome. But sitting in the back, no, I wouldn't want to do that either.
No,
I can't even sit in the back of a car. So
I don't like
I'm with
sitting in the
you.
back of
I'm
the
with
car
you on
either.
that.
Did you ever have aspirations of being a pilot, Ann? Did that ever
Never.
interest you?
No.
Never. Me,
That
it
doesn't
didn't
even
make.
appeal. No, I mean, I'm listening to you and it sounds exciting. Deb, you did that or whatever. No. I just wanted
no,
to
I
sip
wouldn't
the
want to be a pilot.
martinis and
the best part of the job is the
cute.
people.
I know.
The best part of the job outside of what you see and the worldview that you get is the people that you meet. I met somebody else on my last flight, her and they were coming back from Paris, and we were talking, and she was just like, she took a picture of my name tag because she's like, I want you to come to Kentucky and have dinner with me. And I'm like, okay, like it's just the people that you meet is part of the fun. And sitting up front, as much as it is a power, it's so exciting to take off and landing. That's not what I'd want to do all the time.
Deb, that's the ending of my book, but you'll have to read it to know what I mean.
Oh, yay. Okay.
Yep.
I can't wait.
It's absolutely fantastic. So anyway, well, I'm glad I've talked to you. I'm looking forward to reading this next book. Any other questions you have, Deborah? Well, we've got Ann here. I know it's earlier. No, it's later there, right?
Yeah, right. Oh my God.
It's 9 o'clock here.
I cannot even tell you how many times I said to my husband, Central Time is earlier, right? Just double check. I was so afraid I was gonna be like eating my dinner and go, oh no, I'm supposed to be on.
I had another call that was here, and that was from New Jersey, and it was a Zoom, and I was like trying to make sure that they didn't overlap.
Yeah.
When they went over 8 o'clock, and I had 2 different devices here, and I'm like, okay, and that's why I got on with you, because I was finishing with them.
Well, it's really been funny since since Girlfriend Weekend, they let half the people go with Zoom. And there is absolutely nobody to talk to now if you have a problem. And it drops, every time I do one of these, I drop and I have to go out and then get back on, or you
I
can't hear the
Wow.
audio. And there's nobody to talk to, but I'm hoping I'll have it all worked out before we do our Zoom meeting. But it's going to be great. It's January 12th through the 14th, you all,
Yeah.
and it's going to be fun. And yeah, I know everybody would love to have you come back. And I had more people say that. Ann Hood, oh my gosh, she was so great. But we had, we had Jeffrey, we
Oh, it
had
was lovely. Oh my, I had the
Adriana.
best time. Oh my God,
I
as
know.
always. It's
Well,
I
always.
have never been able to come. I even won a trip one year and I couldn't come. Something is always going on with me in January. I've never been able to come, but I look at all the pictures. I watch what's going on. I always feel so left out. I've always wanted to be there.
You're going to have
Yeah.
to come one of these days. Yeah.
I
Kathy,
will.
the last time I was at one live, Carolyn Levitt was there.
Oh
and we
yeah. And
had
she's
the
got a new book.
most fun. Yeah, she's got a new good book. But we had the most fun. And even now, whenever we communicate, it's like we always start there. Like you bring people together in such a wonderful way.
You do, Kathy. That's really you. You are such an amazing person to do that. And I'm sorry
Well-
that it didn't come together this year the way you wanted it to.
Well, we have fun when we do it online too. And I've been talking to Jeanette Walls. So Jeanette has got a new book and she says, I think my publisher's got something that weekend. I go, it's Zoom. I'll work around your schedule. We just need to for I love her. She is a dynamo, she's in fact, her book is Hang the Moon. Have you heard about it? Jeanette
No.
Walls
The
wrote the last-
novel, Kathy? Is this
Huh?
her novel?
This
It's
is
a
her new
novel.
one. Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't read it yet. I've seen it.
The Glass Castle was the first time she ever came. Nobody knew who she was.
I love the name. I love that title.
And then Half Broke Horses. And, but I've got a lot of people I'm reading right now. And I've got about half my books picked. So as soon as I can get a manuscript, and I don't care if it's a corrected proof or whatever, just if you can get me a print copy, and that'd be great because, and then if you can come, if you'll, the JPEGs, I pulled them off your page, but I put up the one of when you were a stewardess because that was so cute.
I know. Oh my
I
God.
loved it. And then I found
Oh,
one of you
baby.
speaking at Girlfriend Weekend. And, but we had a blast. And I know we're going to have, this is my 24th year. Coming up.
Wow.
Really?
24. Yeah. And 25th. Ooh, I would just really like to have it somewhere really big.
Yeah.
The 25th is, and I thought, well, if we
Big.
come back to Texas, everybody's going to be so excited. I have had a fabulous facility for it. And everybody goes, we just don't know. Our group's thinking COVID's still around and all this stuff. Something happened to people during COVID.
Something happened. Yeah.
Something has happened and they got comfortable not going out
Yep.
or
Yeah.
doing it. And now it's like, I don't know, maybe it's run its course, but I've got thousands of new members and authors are signing up every day. And so it's really becoming more international. So Zoom makes sense, but there's nothing better than a live event.
Nothing better.
No, there isn't. And
Come-
there's the whole industry, and Kathy, you have a network of people, and whether you have to morph how you do Girlfriend Weekend or not, there is still the desire to gather. You just have to find a way to do it that fits with this
Yeah.
new mentality that came through.
Yeah.
I think what I might do, and I'll run this by you guys, is I'm thinking about, we still have the Girlfriend Weekend, but what if we did an author one day event somewhere? One day, maybe Friday night, Saturday, and that's it.
Where you just come in
And just let all the authors speak and have a big hairball, not a hairball, but something different where we all get to introduce everybody and autograph books and everything. I think my
Like
book
a
club
party.
is becoming-
yeah.
like a big author mixer
Yeah.
party, and it would be great to do that. So, and I maybe not make it quite as long,
Mhm.
but we'll see. We got to get past this, whatever's happened.
We're all still figuring out the aftermaths of what we've been through. Everybody's figuring it out, right? In so many different ways.
I think so. I mean, the travel industry tried to come back last year, travel wasn't ready. Aviation wasn't ready. Now this summer they're ready. Let's see what happens. I don't know. You know,
Right.
I don't think we've seen yet the full ripple on effect of what the pandemic did to the mentality. I know in the kids, I mean, the school teachers are still talking about what it did to the kids. And
It's
I don't think we understand, like, because we're trying to live like normal, that we had 2 years of an uncrewed, it was just, we don't know yet. And I think how you're thinking, Kathy, is maybe the way you're going to go. You're going to find and surveying people and talking to your people and asking them what would they want to do. You know, do the authors want to come and pump their book? Like, do they want to market their book, or do they want to talk to each other? Do they want to have a think tank on, I don't know, because I am not a published author yet. So I would have a jillion questions. I would just talk to everybody.
I've told all the authors that every author that signs up to come this year is going to get featured some way, somehow. I'm going to make it all, you know, the main thing about our book club that's so different from any other book festival is you get to meet every single author that comes.
Right.
And I can't go. I remember Anne and Mark Childress came to see me at the Miami Book Festival. They were the only people that came to my talk. And I've been there twice and I never signed one book, and I didn't have enough time to get to anybody else's.
Yeah.
The fact that you can come to my event for less than $500 and meet, you know, 50 to 75 authors and hang with them is worth a lot. And I love to go to the Tennessee Williams, but their early bird special this year was $600. And that's not all the events. That's just, you know, the basics. Then
And now you have, and the other thing too, Kathy, is I've noticed a lot of authors are running their own workshops, and they're charging $5,000, $7,000, $10,000 to do these author intensives where you go away and you're with them and they get this cabin. I mean, this industry everything's changed, and it's stuff I don't understand totally, because I'm still kind of new to it in the way of writing and publishing and all that kind of thing. But I have seen changes just since I've been in the world of trying to figure it out. And that's one of the things I see the most. Anybody I talk to is like, well, if you have $8,000, you can come spend a weekend with me. And I'm like, you know, and do what? Like, you know, I'm still in the beginning stages of a lot of things. So
we'll figure it all out.
You'll figure it out.
You have any suggestions for me? But I do know that when I have people like Anne come and Adriana and Jeanette Walls and Jamie Ford, those kind of people, they're huge draws. And, you know, you can come to one place and meet them all.
Yeah.
And I create the event that I want to go to.
Yes.
Right. I mean, I want the Pat Conroy people here. I want the Dolly Parton people here as much as I can get them. I want all the organizations that are, you know, putting great books in the hands of good readers that might not get seen. So many of the authors, the first time I picked their book, nobody's ever heard of them.
Right.
I mean, gosh, when I picked, you know, The Help, nobody had heard of it. Nobody had heard of The Glass Castle. Nobody had heard of Same Kind of Different as Me. And they all went on to movies.
Wow.
And then my movie deal just went into total skids because of COVID and all this stuff. It's the options up. So if anybody wants to buy my movie again, it's open. But they finished the script and everything, but everything shut down. And now the writer's strike.
Yeah.
I mean, Netflix has really just changed all the rules, where my kids were on my Netflix account. Now I have to pay extra to have them on my account.
Oh yeah, that's going to start. Yeah.
It just started. And half the movies now you have to pay for them on Netflix.
Yeah. And that's, I pay for Sling TV. It's $40 a month. So just about Netflix, Netflix bought, which is 10 minutes from where I live right now, an old Army installation called Fort Monmouth. And they are renovating it like crazy, and they're building studios there. So they're coming to New Jersey for a production. They're doing their production work here.
Wow.
Well, see, you need to sell your book to, this would be a great show. I mean, actually, every book that I read plays out in my mind like a movie. That's why I have the 2 book and film clubs, the Shah Rukh Khan one and the book and film club. I pick books that I think will be good movies. And Reese Witherspoon and Jenna Hager-Bush, they're celebrities, and they're going, look what they've done. Their books are becoming movies. And I thought, y'all, I've been doing this for 24 years.
Exactly.
And
no kidding.
I'm not a celebrity. I'm just a small town Kansas girl who now lives in Texas that just wants people to read. And
Kathy, you're a small town force of nature.
You are. You
Well-
really are. Somebody, I don't know anybody, but somebody somewhere one of these days, Kathy, is going to get wind of what you've done because you are the leader in this. I saw Maria Shriver do it and Reese Witherspoon, and I saw them all do it, but you did it first.
it's, well, actually, Oprah did it first. Oprah started
book
her
club.
book club first, and she's back doing her book club, which I'm very happy about. In fact, I have 3 of the books that I picked. She's made picks this year. And I'm going, oh my, this happens every time, because when I'm back in my early bookseller days, I would say, they go, oh, Oprah's going to announce her book. And I said, I'll tell you what it's going to be. And they go, oh, you don't know. And I go, it's going to be Cane River by Lolita Tatamy. And they go, they made the announcement on TV, and they go, how did you do that? I go, because I know the kind of book that she likes. She likes
You do.
the story of people overcoming adversity, and from what usually a woman's perspective. And then I got Lolita Tatamy to come to my, I had a brunch for her in Jefferson, and love her. But I've had it happen over and over, but I don't see it. There's thousands of book clubs, millions of book clubs. And my biggest base right now is in India. I've got 70% of the people that watch my YouTube channel are from India.
Wow.
So if, there's room for thousands of book clubs and thousands of book club leaders. I think I'm the first one that's really kind of championing the international aspect, and somebody will get a hold of it. And when I go to India, I'm planning on going to meet with a publisher and a studio. So get ready, you guys. I am fearless when it comes to
Kathy's
this.
going to Bollywood.
I'm going to go to Bollywood, and I may write a book about that too. But my next book is The Pulpwood Queen Goes Back to School. And it's my life story, is because whenever something goes really wrong in my life, the first place I want to do is go back to school. So I think this fall, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do online course study. So you guys, thank you. And is there anything you want to share with our listening audience? Because this will be up on YouTube forever. Is there any last minute you want to talk about your workshop or anything?
Well, I could say so many things, but first of all, I have to thank you, Kathy, as always. And it's so nice to meet you, Deb. But I just want to say that I want everybody to read Fly Girl, because
Yes.
you look at those people who are handing you your peanuts when you're really hungry and there's no more food on planes, and you'll see them so differently. And I feel like it brings back the real glory, the fact that we actually get in these tubes and fly across the world is still really magnificent to me. And we should never lose our wonder. So I just want people to remember that.
And, just the fact that the first stewardesses had to sleep on the plane with no air conditioning or heating. I mean, who knew that? Every time I read a book, my eyes are opened and I want to know more. So, well, who knows? Maybe all 3 of us will be flying the friendly sky.
I was just going to say, Anne, thank you on behalf of all of us fly girls who are still flying. All
Thanks,
of our wings
Anna.
still work. You can fly anytime. And I really appreciate your book. I can't wait.
Thank you so much, Kathy. I love you. You're the best. Thank you so much, sweetie.
Oh, well, thank you. Now go have some time with your husband and we'll be in
will.
touch. Okay.
Okay.
Bye for now.
Bye. Bye. Good
It's
night.
all
Bye-bye.
the story. Bye-bye.
Okay.